We ask in your name. Amen.
Be honest with me right now. You have absolutely no one in the real world to talk to about this show, do you? Yeah, me neither. Try explaining a magical teleporting tree, shape-shifting cicadas, and a town you can't drive out of to your coworkers at the water cooler. They'll look at you like you've lost your mind. It's just us, trapping ourselves in the beautiful, terrifying madness of From every single week. And guys, if you thought you had a handle on where things were going, Season 4 Episode 3 just flipped the script on us completely. We are not just dealing with simple monsters hiding in the dark anymore. Remember the good old days when our biggest problem was just keeping the windows nailed shut from Smiley? Oh no. The evil forces running this town are playing a genius-level, psychological game of chess with our survivors. And frankly, our survivors are losing badly. Today we are breaking down everything you missed in this insane episode. We're talking about Sophia's deeply creepy tooth obsession and what it means for the monster lore. The absolute truth behind the Lake of Tears. A massive clue hiding in plain sight in a pile of old junk. And a cliffhanger at the graveyard that literally made my jaw drop hit the floor. Trust me, you do not want to click away, because what Victor found out in those woods, it changes the rules of the entire show. Let's get into it. Okay, let's start with the most awkward living situation in human history. Elgin and Fatima are finally face to face for the first time, since Elgin literally threw a bag over her head and kidnapped her back in Season 3. And now, they are living under the exact same roof. I don't know whose bright idea this was. Maybe Boyd just wanted to keep all his problems in one building. But the vibes in Colony House are beyond bad right now. Donna must be losing her absolute mind trying to manage this powder keg. Boyd is just using duct tape and pure desperate hope to keep this town from tearing itself apart. I mean, think about the sheer volume of dark secrets hidden in this one house right now. Elgin kidnapped Fatima out of sheer terror. Boyd tortured Elgin for answers. Fatima gave birth to a literal nightmare monster that we still don't fully understand. And oh yeah, let's not forget, she brutally murdered Tilly. If the walls of Colony House could talk, they wouldn't speak, they would just be screaming. But surprisingly, Fatima is actually being pretty chill about the whole kidnapping thing. She possesses this incredibly unique empathy. She knows the town messed with their heads and manipulated their deepest fears. But then, things get weird. Really, really weird. Fatima asks Elgin for a favor, and the next thing we know, he's hauling a giant heavy cooler of dirt into the house. We see Fatima furiously mixing this dirt into a dark, wet mud or clay. What in the world is she making? Now, knowing she has a background as an artist, the most grounded theory is that this is just arts and crafts to deal with her trauma. Art therapy in hell, essentially. But guys, this is From. Nobody is just making a nice clay bowl for the living room. Is she doing a dark burial ritual for the entity she lost? Or, let's talk about occult mythology for a second. Is she trying to craft a golem? Is she trying to build a physical vessel out of earth for the demonic entity that was inside her? I don't know about you, but seeing her hands coated in that dark, thick mud gave me the worst feeling in the pit of my stomach. Keep your eye on the mud, guys. It's not innocent. Now, let's check in on our favorite stressed-out sheriff, Boyd Stevens. The poor guy is quite literally carrying the entire town on his back, and his mind is starting to fracture under the weight. He is having brutal, visceral nightmares about his dead wife, Abby, and not the good memories. He's dreaming about the traumatic day she completely lost her mind and shot up the town because she genuinely thought dying was the only way to wake everyone up from the nightmare. And right now, history is terrifyingly repeating itself. Boyd is dealing with Danny Acosta, the cop who took the ambulance for a reckless joyride last week, thinking she could breach the town's borders. Well, reality checked her hard, and she is currently locked up, totally broken, and begging Boyd for just one single bullet. Just one bullet, so she can go into the woods and end it all on her own terms, before the monsters get to her. Boyd looks at her and sees his wife all over again. The parallels are crazy. They are both stubborn blonde women with rigid police or military backgrounds who tried to take control of an uncontrollable situation. Boyd couldn't save his wife, but he is desperately, frantically trying to rewrite the ending by saving Acosta. So Boyd makes a desperate deal. He tells her, "I'll help you, but you have to do a chore for me first." He sends her to the dark, labyrinth-like basement of Colony House to count and organize all the non-useful junk left behind by dead people over the years. On the surface, Boyd is just giving her busy wick. It's a psychological stalling tactic to distract her from her dark thoughts. It's a brilliant move by Boyd as a leader. But guys, remember this basement. It's basically a museum of dead people's dashed hopes. File this location away in your brain right now, because this basement is going to be incredibly, massively important in just a few minutes. Alright, trigger warning for anyone who hates the dentist, because we need to talk about Sophia, or the man in yellow, whichever you want to call her, because they are the exact same shape-shifting, psychopathic monster. At the clinic, they are getting the dead pastor ready to be buried. Sophia asks for a private moment with the body of the man she's tricked everyone into believing was her innocent, helpless father. And what does she do? She reaches right into the dead man's mouth, physically rips one of his teeth out, puts it in her pocket, and calmly says, "I couldn't let you go without something to remember you by." Gross, just ew. But hold on, put your theory hats on and think back to season 2. Remember when Christy and Kenny cut open Smiley the monster in the clinic? What did they find stuffed inside his dried up internal organs? A faded wallet and a solitary human tooth. Are teeth some kind of creepy monster currency in this universe? Is Sophia just a sadistic serial killer, keeping sick physical trophies of her victims? And let's not forget, Fatima's own teeth were rotting and falling out when she was pregnant with the monster. There is a massive, overarching pattern here, of people and entities hoarding old objects. Victor obsessively hoards old 1970s toys, Acosta is down there counting old junk, and Sophia is hoarding human teeth. It's like these physical items are anchors that tie the real world to the supernatural one. If she's keeping trophies of her victims, what the heck did she take from Jim? Speaking of Jim, it's time for his funeral. Jade understandably doesn't show up, which is completely fair, since Tabitha basically looked him in the eye and told him she wished he had died instead. The friction between our survivors is at an all-time high. Everyone is crying, tensions are thick enough to cut with a knife, and suddenly, the sky goes completely black, with a deafening murder of crows. Kenny, being the observant guy he is, points out that crows usually only circle the trees when someone new comes to town. So why are they massing here? Simple. They are Sophia's familiars, her little aerial spies. We even get confirmation of this later, when we see a solitary crow silently watching Victor and Ethan from a branch. Sophia sees absolutely everything, and she uses what she sees perfectly. Down at the diner, Sophia puts on an absolute masterclass in psychological manipulation. She acts super innocent, batting her eyes, and asks Kenny about the town's history of tragedies. Kenny, just wanting to be helpful to the new girl, accidentally admits that the current string of horrific events seemed to kick off right when Jade and the Matthews family arrived in the RV. Sophia then casually drops the biblical story of Achan, a man who caused the entire nation of Israel to suffer devastating military losses because his personal sins offended God. Guys, do you see what she's doing? She is deliberately planting a highly contagious narrative in Kenny's head. She wants the town to believe that the Matthews family is cursed, and that they are the root cause of the town's suffering. She is trying to start a literal witch hunt. If you want a paranoid, exhausted town to tear itself apart, you don't need monsters. You just give them a scapegoat. She even has the sick audacity to walk right up to Julie and act sweet, knowing full well she murdered Julie's dad in cold blood. Sophia is the ultimate villain right now, and she's winning. While the adults are bickering and getting manipulated, the kids are actually getting things done. Ethan, Victor, and Jade have formed the most bizarre trio ever. A hopeful kid, a traumatized man-child, and a hallucinating tech bro. And they are on a mission to find the Lake of Tears. Ethan is totally convinced that this magic lake from his dad's children's book can heal fatal injuries, or maybe even bring his dad back from the dead. But here is the mind-blowing part. The children's book isn't a fairy tale. It's not fiction. It's a literal map of the town. The lore of the book talks about a fearsome forest spider protecting the lake. Does anyone remember Boyd and Sarah walking through that terrifying giant spiderweb forest back in season 1? The real-world geography matches the book exactly, which begs the question, who wrote this book? Did someone escape the town decades ago and write their survival guide as a children's fantasy novel? Now, the book also mentions a place called the Cavern of the Lonely Dragon. It describes this cavern as a dark, forgotten place where things no one wants are stored. And inside this cavern, the hero finds the map of the rainbow sky that helps him escape. Ethan thinks it's the diner's storage room, but wait. Think back to what we talked about earlier. Where did Boyd just send Acosta? To a dark, labyrinthine basement full of old, unwanted, forgotten junk left by dead people. The Colony House basement is the cavern of the Lonely Dragon. The puzzle pieces are clicking together perfectly. The map to get home is hiding in that basement right now, probably tucked inside one of those dusty boxes. Meanwhile, Tabitha is embarking on her own solitary suicide mission. She is writing heartbreaking goodbye letters to her kids, planning to go back into the magic bottle tree to find a way home, or at least get help. But Henry, Victor's dad, shuts it down immediately. He has this inexplicable, deep-rooted protective bond over Tabitha because she is directly tied to his late wife's visions. He knows from experience that stepping into those trees is playing dimensional Russian roulette. You might teleport to a lighthouse, or you might end up physically fused into a solid rock wall like Dale did. He refuses to let her orphan her children. Right as they are having this intense argument, the boy in white shows up. Except, hold on, he hit a massive growth spurt. He's the teenager in white now. Why on earth is a supernatural ghost aging? Time clearly works differently for these entities. Has he aged because the town's life cycle is coming to an end? He drops some incredibly cryptic lore on us. He warns Tabitha that the tree won't take her to the lighthouse this time. It's not a guaranteed portal. It's heavily dependent on timing and alignment. And worse, he ominously says they are getting close, but running out of time. The ancient forces of the town are waking up. When they ask him why he won't just explain the rules, he drops a bombshell. He tried giving them the answers years ago with Christopher, and it failed catastrophically, leading to the Great Massacre. The townspeople have to naturally suffer and learn the rules for themselves. Otherwise, the town punishes them all. But hold on to your seats, because this next part changes the dynamic of the entire series. Victor is out wandering near the ruins, where the man in yellow shapeshifted, and he makes a horrifying discovery. He finds a pile of discarded, blood-stained clothes. The exact clothes the man in yellow was wearing. Victor drops to the ground in total, paralyzing terror. In a heartbreaking confession, he admits these clothes remind him of something he told himself wasn't real. You know how Victor's brain works. His main defense mechanism is blocking out severe trauma until a physical object jogs his memory. It's how he survived this long. This means Victor met the man in yellow when he was a kid. He likely witnessed this monster do something unspeakable right before the massacre. But here is the scariest implication of this scene. If Victor remembers that these monsters can physically shapeshift to look like normal humans and walk around during the daytime, the town is going to completely lose its mind. Think about it. The only rule keeping everyone sane was stay inside at night behind the talisman. If the monsters can be anyone, anywhere, at any time, even in the bright sunlight, it turns the town into John Carpenter's The Thing. No one is safe. You won't be able to trust your neighbors, your friends, or your own family. The paranoia is going to be unreal. And that brings us to the ending. The final masterful sequence that had me literally screaming at my TV screen. Boyd is kneeling at his wife Abby's grave. He comes here to vent, but this time, it's so much darker. He is fully breaking down. He is crying, saying the town is fundamentally changing his soul, turning him into a hardened monster to survive, and he doesn't know how to stop it. He stares at the dirt and whispers that he desperately needs help. And then, the dirt shifts. A rotting, decaying hand violently bursts out of the grave soil and tightly grabs Boyd right by the wrist. Boom. Smash cut to the credits. Are you kidding me right now? Now, let's be rational for a second. We know Boyd has a rich history of terrifying hallucinations. He saw Father Cautry, he saw the music box ballerina, he felt worms crawling under his skin. Given his fragile mental state, this is highly likely to be psychological torture manufactured by the town to break its strongest leader. But what if it isn't? What if this isn't just a vision? What if that dead hand pulls him down into the earth? Or what if it leaves a physical bruising mark on his wrist when he wakes up? If the dead are actually physically resurrecting in this town, they are going to need a heck of a lot more than a few stone talismans to stay safe. The game has changed. So, where do we go from here? The chessboard is set, and here are my official predictions for next week. First, Jade's psychedelic vision quest. He officially hit a wall with normal meditation, so he's turning to those hallucinogenic mushrooms he found in the woods. Prepare yourself for a visually insane trip. He's going to head back into those underground tunnels high out of his mind, hoping it unlocks the true meaning behind that terrifying symbol. Second, Sophia officially asked to move in with Sarah. This is the ultimate keep your enemies closer power move. Sophia absolutely knows that Sarah has psychic abilities to hear the voices of the town. I guarantee Sophia is going to gaslight and spiritually manipulate Sarah, turning her back into a weapon against the rest of the survivors. And finally, did you catch that brief tease of Tabitha staring at a ringing telephone? We know exactly how the entities use phones to break people. Who is on the other end? Is it Jim calling from the dead? Is it the monster mocking her? Or perhaps, most devastatingly, is it her deceased infant son, Thomas? Whatever is on the other end of that line, it is going to break our hearts. But I want to hear from you guys. Is the magic cave actually the colony house basement? What dark ritual is Fatima building with that mud? And was that rotting hand grabbing Boyd a hallucination? Or are the dead waking up? Drop your craziest theories, wild guesses, and deep dives down in the comments below. Because in this phenomenal show, every single tiny detail matters, and nothing is ever as it seems. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss next week's breakdown. And I will see you guys in the next video.